There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play? They're here.
Welcome to the Horror Cut.
Welcome to our second live podcast for the Horror Cut and the Old Hairdressers. Can we get a round of applause? I'm still Gary.
I'm still Steg.
And we have just finished watching 2004's UK Creep, not to get mixed up with the 2014 American found footage Creep as well.
Also a good film.
Which is also a good film, yeah. So, can I get a round of applause from the audience if you've enjoyed tonight's film? That's good. It wasn't a disaster then. We've got a little goodie bag here as well for anyone that wants to jump in towards the end with their thoughts on the film, and if they've got any questions or anything they want to bring up as well. You're not allowed to look in the bag, you have to just place your hand in. Nothing will bite you, I swear, as well. But just to get started then, Steg, what was your thoughts the first time you seen this film and just there, I guess, yeah?
Do you know what? I first saw it when it came out, and I was reminded by a friend of mine who I asked recently, I was like, have you seen it? And he went, I went to the cinema with you and seen this. And I was like, all right, okay. I think the first time I saw it, not a lot of people saw the film when it came out. Even a lot of people here tonight hadn't seen it, which was actually amazing to see the amount of hands that actually went up when Gary asked. So my memories of first seeing it were pretty effective, bleak, claustrophobic, and pretty effective chiller.
Yeah. I really enjoy this film. I think it's like anytime I watch it, I still enjoy it. I think it's like strong, it's self-contained horror, limited cast, limited locations, but what it uses really well. And we've kind of all been there, right? Even in Glasgow subway / underground, but we call it the subway. Sometimes when you're standing alone and you just kind of hear that wind coming through the tunnel, you're like, someone down there. There's just something freakiness about the underground. And I think this film really plays with that.
Hello? Excuse me. Fell asleep on the platform.
Yeah. So, what's your first positive point on the film? So, just for those that don't know, first time here or who haven't listened to the podcast, we each try and come up with 3 positive points on the film. The reason for that is we both work in the film industry as well, so we don't want to come here and just slate stuff. So, even if it is a terrible film, we must find 3 positive things.
Yeah, we give 3 positives, then we slate it.
Yeah. So, what's your first one?
As just in regards to the villain, I think in like any really, really good horror film, you don't see a lot of what's actually, causing the mischief up until maybe the last act, or even in this one. I think it's about maybe 45 minutes. You kind of get an idea of what the villain actually is. For the first few deaths, I mean, even right from the start, like the credits, is that, in your opinion, do you think that's a death that's sort of happening at that moment, and then we're just seeing about it later on in the film?
Yeah, so I quite like the opening credits. It reminds me of David Fincher's opening credits for Seven. It's kind of like, it's just the credits with like some vivid imagery there. We see like the surgical tools, we see the hospital, things like that. And then we see a woman getting chased. I think that's the same woman who gets pulled as the sewer guys are there.
Yeah.
And I think that's who, when George and Kate are making their escape at the end. There's a woman kind of on a hook, and he hides Kate's face from it. I think that's the woman from the start, but we never really find out anything about her.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, talking about not finding out a lot about stuff, there's a lot of ambiguity in the film. There's tons of it. Didn't notice it when I first saw it 20 years ago, but I could have been getting that a bit later on. But as I was saying with the film, you don't see a lot. I think it does a it's very clever, and it knows how good its location is. So we're getting more of that for the first act, the first maybe half of the film. Yeah. Very similar to Jaws, in a sense.
I've actually got here in a notes Jaws introduction as in the monster, so that's what I was thinking about. You don't see the shark, you don't see the creep. It's just people getting attacked, and then it's right at the midpoint we finally see the creep. I actually think when people talk about this film, there's one image that stays with me, and it's when she's made it out of the subway in the sewers, and she's running through it. It looks like an office block. There's all the cardboard boxes. It's probably like ScotRail's archive, you know. But she's running through it, and then the lights go off, and she's got the torch, and she hides, and she turns the torch off, and it all goes black for a few seconds, and the torch comes on, and the creep is just looking right down the lens of the camera, and that's her first introduction, and that's the image I always think about with this film.
And they use the silence as well, because usually in these kind of films you would get the reveal and it's quite, big and dramatic, loud. This is just
the click of the torch as well.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the creep then, played by Sean Harris. Does anyone know Sean Harris? Yeah, so he's a bit of a method actor. He's in the Red Riding TV show. It's just landed on Netflix. He's the kind of ginger cop in that. He's been in Mission Impossible, A Lonely Place to Die. He played Ian Brady in See No Evil as well. So he's kind of been about the horror genre quite a lot, but nothing to like this scale with this makeup. And I have been told he's a method actor, so I think that, not personally, I read it. I don't know why I said I've been told. But I think it's really interesting if he is to play that kind of character. And I kind of love the way he plays it. There's this kind of like... The way he walks, for instance, is really interesting. It's as if it's an effort.
That's how you walk.
I know. after a few drinks. And the character itself, like, we don't get a lot of backstory, as you were saying. The film restrains itself really well, rather than, like, when you see the picture of the Doctor, I was like, we're going to get a flashback here. Here's how the creep has came about. But it's just, it uses jars of, like, test tube babies. We see the cots, We know there's been some sort of experiment as well. Ewan in the audience said that he thought he's seen, like, rat claws as well. Yeah, with the baby's hands. So is it like a hybrid? Is he trying to make like a rat man? But we don't really need to know, because it's not the creep's story, it's Kate's. And we just get enough. And I'm kind of glad, like, we were talking about how, like, Prometheus and Alien Covenant actually ruins how scary the alien is, because we get all this backstory. And I think this does well at, just letting the world tell a little bit of the backstory, and that's it.
Do you think because of the setting, where they are and how they're trapped, it wouldn't allow a backstory, because then you would have to reveal it? Whereas these guys are pretty contained. Do you think there's an element of that, or do you think it's just good filmmaking?
I mean, I think you make up your own point of what it is, like, and it's really subtle, right? So for me, I'll talk about the cold open a little bit more, but Arthur, the old sewer guy who looks like he's close to retirement, he's like, I found a new hole. Another guy's like, and what? And he's like, been down these sewers for 20 years, and it's like a whole new world, and he's excited. But to me, that's also saying that, the creep is expanding its territory like an animal, like maybe it's ran out of food or humans there. You've got a little bit of that. You've got Jimmy, who's also like, oh, there's stories about homeless people going missing down here. And she's like, really? And he's like, no, I'm just fucking with you. But I'm like, well, is there homeless people going missing? And now the creep's ran out of homeless people to feed on, so it's broke down the wall and it's expanding a little bit. But it's just Arthur talking about finding a new hole, but there's more you can look into that. And then there's a laboratory, which is Umbrella, Resident Evil shit right there. It's very similar of like experiments underground and things. Yeah. Do you think we're supposed to... I'll ask the audience actually, can we get a round of applause? Well, a cheer if you agree on this, right? I'm curious. Do you think at moments we're supposed to sympathise with the creep? Yeah? A little yes there, because halfway through, it switches POV almost. Like, it becomes, after we're introduced to the creep with that shot, we then spend a lot of time, you know, we see him feeding on the security guard. There's that moment after he's killed Mandy where he just looks at the jars and we hear the babies crying, and then he kind of zones back into the normal world. And I was like, why are we spending time with it? And I think we're supposed to a little bit go, it's not his fault. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I think there's a huge part of that in the film. I mean, you see at the end as well, the cameras when it's on him, it's that look in its eye where it's like this it's actually, well, it's a human, it's not a thing, it's just trying to survive, and it looks as if it's playing out these things that it's seen growing up. So it's that sort of violence creates violence, abuse, childhood abuse, and, you know, we've all heard stories of killers, rapists, etc., all doing the same thing because it happened to them as when they were growing up. So there's loads of like different genres and themes throughout the entire film. There's loads.
I love that scene where, well, there's parts of it I actually hate, but I love the start of it when he's about to perform surgery on Mandy, but he turns on the tap and there's no water coming out, but he mimics washing his hands and then, like, literally turns the tap off with its elbow, uses the gas, puts on the apron, the gloves. And to me, it's like a parrot. It's just mimicking what humans do. And obviously, I think the creep has been experimented on and remembers all that. So it's like, okay, it's his turn to be the surgeon. And a little bit of it when George is laying into the creep, and probably that should have been the end of it there. You know, he shouldn't have stopped. But, you know, it's a film and it's the plot. We need it to move on. But at that point, when he starts saying, please don't hurt me, and then he just starts going, Jamie, that reminds me of Predator, when it's like, over here, and it's just mimicking the humans.
Want some candy?
yeah. So I think there's this, with the taps and the surgeon right up to like just the voice, it doesn't even understand what it's saying. It just knows that when Mandy was in pain, she was using certain words in a certain tone, and then when he's getting punched, he's using the same tone and the same words to try and escape, and it works.
I did find it quite funny when he put the gas mask over him when it wasn't connected, and he kind of did that.
Yeah.
I'm waiting here. Has no idea what it's doing.
No.
It must have been quite weird for an actor, for Sean Harris, was it?
Yeah.
To be mimicking these sort of mundane actions, but still trying to remain scary.
Yeah, I think it's a weird scene that. Okay, my pet hate is when how Mandy dies with like the blade. Basically, it doesn't show it, but like up the womb, basically. And I don't think there's really too much of a need for it, and that's the bit it kind of puts me off. I was like, someone just thinks it was a cool idea because it doesn't add. Because to me, that is one of the flaws of the creep. I don't mind not getting the backstory, but why does she get killed that way? Why are other people put in a cage and then fed on later? You know, why at the end does, when he finally has Kate and he could kill her, why does he stop and like start toying with her mouth? You know, there is a little bit where he's punching her, and I thought that was really interesting because George, excuse my language, but George has just knocked fuck out of him, right? Yeah. And then he starts using his fists, which again reminded me of Predator, when Arnie starts punching the Predator. It's like, oh, is this what we're doing? And he starts punching him back. That felt very similar, but why the scene with Mandy just to me doesn't make sense. But I have a theory, but I'll come to that later.
All right, okay. I mean, that was around about the time as well when this film came out, was like torture porn was in the hostel and all that kind of stuff. So these films, I mean, maybe it didn't go that far because it didn't show it. And I think that's one of the, even with not showing it, a lot of people who I know who have seen the film, that's one of their biggest concerns with it. That's one of their biggest issues. And some people have said they didn't watch it after that. They just turned it off. So it's interesting.
Kind of want to just talk a little bit about the cold open, where we're introduced to George and Arthur. The cold open sets the tone, sets the mood of the film, but I actually think it does a lot more through exposition. So you've got them like walking through the sewers, and we have the person going into retirement, and you've got the rookie there, and we get to know the sewers. It kind of does a little bit of world building there. We get the new hole, as I spoke about, but we find out a lot about George as well, and how like he's just out of prison. He's only took on this job because he's got a child to provide for. we also find out when Arthur goes through the hole, he's like, I can't swim and I don't find pipes and holes fascinating like you do. And that's 90 seconds into the film, right? Which means that when we run into George later, which is a nice twist, we feel like we know that character.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bit of like Save the Cat moment. So Save the Cat is usually, if you see a character helping a cat out of the tree, if they do something nice at the start, you're going to like them the rest of it. So by telling us that he's only there for his daughter, he only went to prison for a bit of weed, we're like, he's a good guy. So even though for most of the film we don't spend it with George, when he comes back into it, we're rooting for him as well. So I think the opening, as well as the women getting pulled into the darkness with a scream, it's doing a lot in like under 3 minutes, and I really appreciate that as well.
So that's why you're a director and I'm an actor.
Good performances though, eh?
Well, see, when you say that about knowing the characters and like, yeah, George is the reasons why he's there, and he's got a daughter. We know more about him than we do about Kate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know hee-haw about that lassie.
Do you think that's a flaw?
A theory of mine on it is, I think it was maybe done intentionally because with the themes going through the film, I think the filmmakers are trying to make us just attach ourselves to her. She's a blank canvas. Like a woman in London maybe attacked in a subway or have been harassed. We know what happens. So it could just be that she's almost just left there so that someone can attach her. We don't know her job. We don't know her family background. I'm assuming she's single. I don't know if she's got kids though. No idea.
Well, she's going to, if she's not single, she's doing something wrong because she's trying to shag George Clooney.
Well, because she can still have kids and shag George Clooney.
True. I'm just saying I don't know if she's single or not. I'm just like... So actually, let's actually give us a kind of cheer as well. Do you root for Kate? Do we like Kate as a character? We've got someone shaking their head there. No? Well, we get the mic actually. Let's find out, yeah. Why do we not like Kate?
She just wasn't likeable. Like, you didn't know anything about her, and then every time something went wrong, she'd look to the man to save her and just stand there like an idiot while the other person got killed. And it's like, you could have just bashed his head in and you stand there screaming. And there's just so many points in the film that happens. You just stopped caring. Well, I did. And I just hope I wanted the other guy to live and her to die. And
that's because you know who George is and he's a good guy.
Yeah, I wanted George to live. And yeah.
That's interesting because I'm going to defend her a little bit in one of my points.
You would.
But I do agree. I agree that she does just do a lot of screaming at points. But I also think there's other things that makes her unlikable. And I think it's deliberate. She slags the homeless man when he asks her for change. She's like, this is a cash machine. If you want change, hang around the phone box. So you're like, well, you're a bit of a cow. And then later on as well, like Jimmy is helping her. He's like taking her to the security guard and he's just talking to her about his life. And she's like, I'm going to be honest, I don't really care about your life. I just want to get here. And he's like, you're a cheeky effing bitch or something, he says. And it's right, like, this guy's helping you out here, like, and he doesn't need to. But I think there's reasons for it. What about you? Do you...
I was thinking the exact same as yourself when you're watching it, but is there maybe an element of she's just witnessed something pretty traumatic and she hasn't even worked out what actually happened yet? Is it maybe it's just like, listen, I just want to get the fuck out of here? Is there maybe elements of that going through it?
Oh, I would agree because we don't know how we would react in that situation. If you have been sexually assaulted and then someone's murdered the person that sexually assaulted you, how would you feel? And then you've got this gibbering homeless man that's just telling you his life story. You would probably be like, can you just... I'm stressed out in my box here. But that doesn't explain the person at the cash line, yeah. Dan, you want to jump in?
Thank you very much, Gary. I definitely agree with all these points, and I think from what I saw, it's kind of building character development. So when Kate starts off, she's kind of selfish, very, very selfish. So she's like pretty much pissing off pretty much chatting up the co-workers, and then just basically just kind of like turning them away, and just basically doing that for her own kind of amusement. And she's been like rude, obnoxious. And then it's like even to the homeless people, she was just like, I don't really care about you. I just care about me, and I just want to basically get out of here for my own benefits. and then you sort of have a turning point when she's sort of escaping with George, and then she sees Mandy, and she's just like breaking down, and she's just like, oh my god, it's all my fault. It's all my fault. If I'd done more, if I'd actually cared. So I think it's kind of turning around her entire perspective altogether, what she thinks about the situation and how she's been because of it.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with some of that as well. And I would say also she does just kind of scream a lot and wait for the men, but I do think she has agency in other points. So, for instance, she stands up to Guy in his sleaziness from the party. Yeah. She also does when he attacks her in the underground. She persuades Jimmy to help her get to the security guard when Jimmy's kind of high as well. She's like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. She wants to go back and save Mandy, but George won't do it. George also is, for some reason, yes, he can't swim, but for some reason he can't hold his breath underwater. And I found that really weird, because is it not the same as holding your breath above water?
He is a bit of a shite bag. He's a bit of a shite bag, isn't he?
He is a wee bit. So there's things there where she does have agency, but when it's one-on-one with the creature, I think she's like...
Yeah. Even at the end when she defeats the creature, the man Craig, it's kind of lucky. It's not like she's outsmarted him or anything like that. He's hit her, she's fell, saw the hook and went, fuck, I'm going to hit him with this, and it's just worked.
It's lucky that hook's there as well, right? I mean, yeah,
total luck.
I mean, what even is that for?
Yeah,
I would say as well. Sorry, there is one scene, and maybe we'll put it down to performance. What's the actor's name again?
Franca Potente.
We think that's how we pronounce the surname.
No idea how to pronounce the surname. I was trying to do it back there, but I didn't have signal. And Karen just said, who cares? But yeah, so she's been in Run Lola Run and like the Bourne Identity films. I think it is nice to see her as a main character. But there's one scene where I think she really gives a really good performance. And it's so subtle. It's after she's perched Guy up against like the railing after he's been attacked, and they've dragged him out the tunnel. And she's like, you'll be fine. And she kind of just slips around the other side of the barrier, and she just takes a moment to herself. She has to like catch her breath, and it's during that point she sees the buzzer, the intercom for the security guard. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like she's putting her guard up. You know, this guy has sexually assaulted her. He's then been attacked. She ran into some homeless people. The homeless man's run away because his dog's covered in blood, and she's still trying to help Guy out. And then she just steps to the side, and she's like, she just takes a moment, and it's just really good acting. So I want to give kudos to that there. That's actually a point I've got is, and you've just kind of summed up there. See, a lot of time, especially in horror, less is more. So what you just said there kind of sums that up, where it's like she does do a lot of screaming, and it does get a little bit annoying. But sometimes when you know, sometimes dialogue's not the thing to do. And like you just said, they're taking that moment. Yeah, that's probably one of the best bits in it for me as well. I particularly like the bit as well when she is falling asleep. Not because she's unconscious and I'd have to listen to her. Nothing to do with that. But it's just because I love the shots where it's showing you the time. I actually only noticed it there. I didn't notice it the first time round. I think it was something I could quite easily have skipped past, but I thought that whole section of her just doing her thing, and then it's that sleep, wake up, film starts. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's quite tight, like how it just gets right into it. Yeah, I think it's interesting though that she falls asleep so fast and nobody wakes her up. I mean, it's a bit of like, you just have to expand your disbelief there. But I've heard a theory, and I think it's really interesting, that none of this actually happens to her, and she's just sleeping, then wakes up at the end. And like she meets a George, for the George Clooney. The creep is a representation of Guy being the creep, and a few other things there as well. I can't remember what they were, but I think it happens. You know, I'm not going to go into that, but I thought that was an interesting take on it.
That's an interesting take, aye.
Yeah.
Should we touch on Guy?
I mean, I don't know if that's the right word, but sure, yeah. Let's touch on Guy.
He's a bit of a prick, isn't he? I mean, he's a bit of a
creep.
Aye, do you know what's funny? Because you picked The Fly. There's a creepy guy in that as well, with the the touchy, and then there's this guy here as well. What's this all about?
I don't know, but for those that were there last month, do you remember everyone's kind of was like, oh, when Jeff Goldblum starts picking off his fingernails?
Yeah.
And then we had that again here, so I apologise for the body horror there.
Gary loves the body horror.
But yeah, let's touch on Guy. Like, what do you think about these scenes and how he gets onto the underground and?
That is something you're going, right, how did he... I don't know, I think you need to suspend belief a wee bit with the whole his plan in getting there and not being caught.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Cocaine's one hell of a drug.
I think, though, maybe, but he could just be waiting, like he sees her there, waits for everyone to leave. He could have been down in the underground for as long as she is. And he's just waited to make his move.
Then he's followed her back upstairs and then back downstairs to jump on the same train that just magically appears.
All right, you win. It doesn't really work, does it? It doesn't really work.
He's like, I've had so much cocaine, I think I'm white. I'm just going to blend into the white walls.
But I do think, like, you were talking about some of the themes in it, and I think it does question who is the creep in this, because, you know, I don't think it's a coincidence that they call the rapist Guy. He's just a guy. Like, I think he's a sleazeball. He's creepy, and then you've got the creep. And going back to the scene I don't like with Mandy, with like the penetration of the blade, I think there's something to be said there that, you know, we see Kate get sexually assaulted on the underground, and then this other creep that could be a metaphor for sleazy, gross men, like, does penetrate Mandy with a blade, because it cuts away, right? And it cuts back to Kate and George, and they're running, and then she says, was Mandy still alive? He's like, I'm not going back to find out. And then it cuts back to the creep, and he's still, like, sawing away almost. And you don't see it, but his hand is kind of moving back and forward like this. And in the face, there's almost like an orgasmic facial expression there. And I think it's deliberate, and, like, in regards to, like, a little bit of misogyny and things like that. And I think it is, like, saying it, like, no, London isn't safe for women to be travelling alone. I think that is one of the big hitters on this, but it's because it's a monster film, maybe people aren't noticing that. Say that?
What you just said, some people would be scared to say that. Some people would be scared to put that in a film in case it comes across as misogynistic, when it's actually the complete opposite, which is quite interesting. But I think there is lots of that throughout the film. We've not really touched on the kind of social inequality aspects of it. Yeah, it's probably my next point, if you want to kind of jump into that. And it's obviously, I mean, who here would rather have a pint with Jimmy or a pint with Guy?
Pint with Jimmy.
Pint with Jimmy?
Yeah.
That's my point. That's all I need. That's all I needed to hear. That's it.
There is stuff there, like, going back to Kate as well, though, and how I was like, is she likeable? I think she's deliberately not, because I think she comes across as a bit snobbish, a bit from upper class neighbourhood. The party seems quite upper class that she's at as well. You know, like, they could just get VIP tickets to go see George Clooney and have a shag. And I think the film is, as well as touching on, like, London isn't safe, I think there is a case of she's brought down a peg or two through her journey. So, you know, we spoke about this is a cash machine, go hang about a phone box. She will just give more money than what's needed for the travel card because she doesn't need the money. Yeah. There's little scenes where, and you all laughed at it and it was great, but Jimmy asked for a cigarette and he lights it and it's in his mouth, and then he passes her his cigarette and she looks at it and then she's almost like, oh, fuck it, yeah.
Yeah, that's never happened to her before. It's like the first time.
Yeah, so there's like things like that in there with the kind of class system. I think it's interesting that she is almost, you know, like Jimmy is like, when Guy is attacked and he's crawling through the tunnel, he's like, if you did that to my woman, like, you're lucky she's got a good heart and stuff like that as well. It's like, even though he's poor, like, he's still willing to help. And I think there's just a lot there. And then obviously at the end, the journey she goes through, she looks like a homeless person there.
Yeah.
And I'll be curious, we'll open this part up to the audience at the end, but if anybody wants to jump in, but when she looks right down the lens of the camera at the end, and I think it's almost like, it's an interesting choice, but is it like, take a good look at yourself? Because look at what maybe a night in on the streets of London could do to you. You know, I don't think there's the creepy science lab experiment running about, but it's maybe hard for these homeless people just to get through it.
It could be you. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I don't think it's needed.
You know, she crawls through like literally the sewer and shit as well. Like, so she is really brought down to like the pit of London, which I think is interesting. Yes, there's the women aspect to it, but is it also hitting on, obviously, two of us are sitting here Scottish, right? We might lose listeners, but is it like England or like London's not very friendly to like foreigners? Because like, she's also German. I mean, the Scottish folk aren't really having too good a time there. They're not though, like, you know, and Jimmy does say, like, I was going to take her back home to my parents' house, get her off the gear. So did she get on the gear in London? Do you know it's London? I'm just saying though.
No.
You're like, Gary, shut up. We're going to lose listeners here. We're going to lose listeners. What do you think of the humour in the film? There's a little bit of humour in there, even though the film does take itself very seriously, but there is some humour. Yeah,
it does take itself seriously. Arthur's kind of nice and funny, that kind of little London man. I did crack a smile when she said, you know, obviously when she's in by the way, the sewer, when some of the script in this is pretty poor. Like,
go for it.
Where are we? The sewer. Huh? Like, fucking hell, come on. But on that note, I did laugh when she was like, what's your name? And he's like, Jordan. She's like, I was supposed to meet George tonight. All right, yeah, cool. Yeah, cool.
I also liked the line where she's like, I don't know what to say. It's like a penis, only smaller.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really good dig as well.
That was good, yeah. Which obviously set him off, you know, fragile masculinity, but anyway.
I love, she's like, what about the live cables? And Jimmy's like, oh, just don't touch that one or that one over there. She's like, which one? He's like, just don't touch any of them. You know,
but he's just lost Mandy. He's not thinking straight. I love this. I love the scene where he doesn't uncover her body, but he gets there. The dog warns him that something's happened, and he gets there, and there's just the trail of blood going round the corner, which just reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street, when Nancy falls asleep, and then Freddy drags Tina's body away and just leaves that trail there. But that was pretty good.
It's a bit of a spoiler for like a 50-year-old film there. You know?
We've not seen it, sorry.
Well, it's funny you say that because the shots of Jimmy running back, shouting at the dog, where is she? And he's running like round the bends of the underground. And it's like this really fast tracking shot. It reminded me of an American Werewolf in London when the businessman, the upper class businessman, is getting chased. And it's using these POV for the wolf. It reminded me of that as well.
Yeah.
Is that a spoiler for that as well?
Spoiler for that as well. Aye, well done, Gary.
One other quick part I found funny was when she's like, do I look crazy to you? When she's talking to the security guard, and he's like, it's hard to say. I'm looking at you in a black and white monitor on a long shot. It's like, what a knob.
Oh, what an asshole. And he's the security supervisor.
Yes.
He made that
not the
abundantly
security
clear.
guard, you know. On Jimmy, he really, I wonder if they tried, but he really reminded me of like Robert Carlyle. And I wonder if they were maybe like trying to get like Robert Carlyle and maybe just couldn't afford it. But the guy who plays Jimmy he's like the Poundland version, and I don't mean that disrespect. I actually think he does a stellar job.
I think he does a great job,
I think he's one of the strongest characters in this. But yeah, I thought he was.
I think he's a strong character. Yeah, I'd like to see more of him. It's a shame because he kind of just. When I first saw it, well, actually in this rerun, I was like, part of me would have thought it would have been interesting if the homeless people knew about this creep. You know what I mean? Like if it was not guarding it or something, but it's just like, yeah, this is something that they know, and I just thought that might have been an interesting aspect to add.
Yeah. But I think this is interesting because Jimmy jokes about homeless people going missing, and so I wonder if he's like, there is people going missing, but he's just like, but homeless people are missing.
Yeah.
But actually, maybe just subconsciously knows that like people are going missing all the time, but he's not putting it down to this monster. You know, I thought that was interesting there as well. But I did like his character. It was a shame when he went. It's a shame when George went as well. Just we're left with Kate. What I was going to say there really quickly was, do you think they should do, or do you, it's maybe a bit late now, but I think this film could benefit from a sequel. Creeps. No, but we do see the jars.
I don't see that coming, by the way.
We do see the jars, and like just because they're still like test tube babies, he's got like the creep has got the number 30 on his belt. Did anybody else spot that when he was like prodding George? He's got the number 30, and I wonder, well, if he's number 30, maybe that's what it's alluding to. How many more are they?
No, I've never seen that. No, sorry, I missed that part.
Yeah.
30. A sequel to it. I don't know.
Does anybody else think it could benefit from a sequel, or do you think it should just be left alone? Oh, you're nodding. You're like, leave it.
Is that James? Might be difficult.
I'll write it then. All
right, Gary's going to write it.
Do you want to say something? Yeah.
I actually think they were setting up that there could be the potential of a sequel. Like at the very end when she looks, I think there might be like, he's still alive. There's that thing where in a horror movie, when you think the person's dead, you keep going, right? But they never do it. And I think the fact she stopped and we didn't see her kind of getting out of that anger and making sure he was dead, I think they left the potential of that open.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
So when she looks at the camera at the end, do you think she's looking at the creep? Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never thought about that.
And would you have liked to have seen a sequel?
I think it's fine where it is.
Fair. It's just me then, right? Okay. It's just me that's going for it.
Because I guess we would need to have the other kids there, like Rebecca and all the kids' names that were on the cots.
So you're saying it should be a prequel?
No, because there's other. Well, maybe but Craig's pan-breed, so what we think he is, we don't know.
Yeah. I'm going to open up to the audience just now. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah. Has anybody got anything else they want to add to it?
I mean, definitely on that point, I think they alluded to the different children that have been experimented on. So yeah, potentially there's stories there. I really liked that every time they were running away, they were running to places that the crate kind of owned or inhabited. So you were like, you're getting away, but you're also in a space where he knows where you are. So I think that added to the horrific elements.
Yeah, I think that's interesting as well, because it's doing two things. It's like every time they escape, they're actually going like deeper into the web, but also for us as an audience, we get to learn more about Creep's backstory as well. So I actually think it's doing two things there. So yeah, that's a really great point.
Yeah, good point. Yeah.
Anyone else? James? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think some of the shots were really good. I mean, there was a lot of running in the tunnels. One of the shots that I really liked was the camera is following them, and then you're seeing the camera going, again, running through the corridor, and they suddenly appear around the corner and run past the camera.
Yeah.
That was really good. With regard to the number 30, well, maybe he was the one that didn't work, and the ones after 30 did work. So there's your sequel. They're out amongst us.
Oh, right, okay. But are they, when you say they're out amongst us, is that like they're just like got a 9-to-5 job in a bank and they're actually fine, or are they still monsters? What made them?
Who knows?
Anyone else? You get to put your hand in the bag, remember?
Well, hey.
The photograph of the creator or the father or the doctor, there's maybe like a prequel in that, but and also I don't know, there was some sympathy for the creature as well. It reminded me of Rocky out of the Rocky Horror with sunken eyes, but not as nice looking as Rocky in the Rocky Horror. And also it made me think of privatisation as well, Thames Water and the NHS,
Yeah, no, maybe. Yeah, like, so this is like private experiments, like because we can't afford the NHS anymore, or
yeah, exactly.
I was going to focus on the part where you said about the doctor aspect, and I think that's that's all that they show. I think for everyone. We've seen these kind of films before, but it's like mad experiments and stuff. So I think it lets us fill in those gaps with our own imagination, which is great. But I think if the film has to be contained within the landscape of the underground, because that's such a huge character in itself, and it's a great character because I've seen this film 3 times now, and between 2004 and today, anytime I've been in London in the underground, at one point I've thought about this film. So the film kind of has to obviously be stay contained within that, but I think you said prequel. It could be something to definitely go into. So Gary should write it.
I would also say on the subway, the underground as a character, I think they could have played with that a little bit more, and I feel like they should have made Kate have like be claustrophobic. Because I think that would add a lot. People don't go in the underground because of that, and I thought that could have been like an extra fear factor. The environment, like, you know, Jaws, Brody's scared of the water. They could have played with something similar here as well.
Interesting, yeah.
Before we go, you get to put your hand in the bag. Tell us what you get.
What lies beneath?
Woo! Nice. I want the review tagged on the horror cut. Rob, what do you get?
Paranormal Activity.
Ooh, nice. Tom?
The Fourth Kind.
Oh, that's a decent film.
I had another question here.
I thought the running in this film was very realistic. Like, I feel there's a lot of films where you see the running and you're like, they're kind of just jogging. Everyone in this film, when they were running for their life. Every single time. There was no messing about. It was just bolt. Every time.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say as well on that, that's really hard for like a cinematographer to follow, and I think it's captured really well. And I think with the running, like, you could joke about this film and it's just a film of someone getting chased through the full film. They get to a location, the creep appears, they run. They get to a location. You could, but I think that's what keeps the pace really, no pun intended, but really fast. Like, the film does just keep moving, and I think it is part of that as well. So that's a great point.
Do you think that as well is kind of saying about how big the underground is? It's what, something like 250 miles a track or something like that. It's huge. Is it 400? Yeah, something like that. So is it maybe just a kind of touching on that, but it's like, yeah, they're running, but this thing's sort of, it's like a sewer rat. It's like it's evolved into something that knows exactly where they are. It's setting its own traps for them, kind of role reversal.
Yeah.
But they are I think the actors in the film, like you're saying, like they are running. They're very. I don't think the actor in it is great, but I think they are very committed. And the lead actor, she had a hell of a job on her hands with that, because she's in pretty much every shot. Mm-hmm. She's there the whole time, and that's not an easy thing to do, obviously. So yeah.
One thing I did notice this time, just when we were talking about all the tracks, is there's like setup and payoff. So when she's walking with Jimmy when he's high, and she's like talking about the live cables, and he's like, "Don't touch any of them." When they get to the abandoned underground at the end, she sees the live voltage or high voltage sign, and her idea is to use the chain, throw it over the tracks, and hopefully electrocute the creep, but it doesn't work. And I think partially is because the tracks are now abandoned, but it still works because the train comes past, which actually then means they're live. So I don't know. That might be a plot issue slightly there as well. So
is that where some of it was filmed? Some of it was filmed in an abandoned underground.
Yeah.
To look like a kind of real one. Yeah.
Yeah, they used that for Bond as well. Yeah. You get to put your hand in the bag.
Oh yeah.
I Am Legend.
I Am Legend. That's not a bad one.
You
That's
are a
not
legend. That's a brown film.
Anything else you want to add to Creep, or is there anyone else in the audience you were pointed to? Do you want one more? Go on.
I'm not sure if it's just me being slow, but at the beginning, well, not beginning, when you first see the creep get his victim, pull him out of the water, and then cut him out his liver or something, and then he goes to a pipe and drops it down the pipe and screams. I kind of thought that was him feeding his other creeps, and there was more than one in the sewer system, and that maybe there was a good one that at the beginning dragged the rapist off her, and that there's going to be another one there.
Oh, right. I get what you mean. Yeah,
So I'm kind of curious if that was one of the possibilities in the beginning, and then they changed track. but I wasn't sure why he'd had live bodies and then cut them up to feed down a pipe. Or was that for the rats? So I'm overthinking it.
You take this one, but I thought it was the rats. I thought he was feeding the rats.
No, I was just going to say that I had the exact same question, but in my head when I saw it, I was like, "What's going on here?" But haven't touched on it. But I don't know. That's my answer.
we could take it and use it in the sequel.
There you go.
There we go
yeah.
as well. Yeah. Okay.
This could be co-written by yourselves and Gary.
Okay, we can take probably one more question up the back here, and then we're going to have to wrap up soon.
No. For me, I was thinking, watching it with Kate at the beginning, she came across to me, she was German. For a start, she was German, she just came to the UK. She works for a company. She's a part of the rat race. And then obviously they're on the undergrounds, she's getting chased about. For me, I don't think you're meant to like her. She objectifies George Clooney. The guy objectifies her. You know, there's kind of, and that's all right. That's fine because he's George Clooney. But I don't think you're meant to like her. You're not set up to like her. She's never been on the underground.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's never used a ticket machine. She paid 20 quid for a ticket. And her answer to everything is money. If I want to go here, I'll give you 50 quid if you take me there. And I've got another 50 quid if you can sort that out for me to pick the body up. And so for me, I didn't like her. I didn't at all.
Yes, that's fair.
And for those reasons, for that reason, I don't think you were meant to like her. I think it was built that way for your mind not to like her. And for the idea of a prequel, I think they wrote it with the idea of a prequel. It's set up. All the things are there. You can see the picture from the past. There's a lot of questions going on in your head. So yeah, I don't think there was ever meant to be a sequel. I think prequel is the answer there. Anyway.
No,
that's it. I thought I'd do an English accent the whole time just to annoy you, but I couldn't be bothered. Thanks a lot, guys. Nice one. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was going to use that as a closing statement because it just summed everything up quite nicely there. So
yeah, I mean, I agree that I don't think you're meant to like her, and I think she's deliberately put through the ringer for that. And just to go back to, I think that's why we get the kind of cold open with George, so that there's someone kind of for us to root for a little bit, but then they're still kind of making that mistake of put a black character in there, then kill them off. They never survive. Still, like, this is 2004. Like, we're getting there. We're getting there. Before we wrap stuff up, anyone that was here last month will remember that I quizzed Stephen. We gave him 5 questions to see how well he knew the film. But this time we want to know if there's anyone in the audience that wants the challenge. Emily, you get to put your hand in the DVD bag again. Who thinks they know the film well enough? Oh, yes. Come on up. Yep. What's your name?
My name's Lucky.
Lucky?
Yeah.
Yeah,
that should be good.
Really appreciate you taking the chance here. So let's go with the first one. What activity is the security guard doing before Kate buzzes him?
Haha, that's a good question. What is he doing? What the bloody hell was he doing? Can I ask the audience?
You can ask the audience.
But only once? I'm assuming. A word search, we're saying.
That is correct. Well done. Yes, well done.
There we go. That's
well done,
one.
Lucky boy. Well done. How much does Kate pay Mandy for the travel card?
20 quid.
That is correct.
That.
Yes. You go for the next one. Go for it.
Okay. What was the dog's name?
Ray.
Well done.
I remember that because I was thinking Ray J the entire time for some reason. I don't know why, but every time the dog was on screen, that's what I thought. Anyway, sorry.
That's all right. That's an easy one.
It's all right. We're allowed to give easy ones.
What is the name of the creature?
Craig.
It is Craig, yes.
Right, so
okay, I'll go for a hard one first.
Oh, no.
What station does Kate try to travel from when first entering the underground?
Charing Cross.
It is Charing Cross, yes.
You thought that was a hard one?
I thought that
That's pretty solid. But it's where she ends up at the end as well. So
that's true. She does.
That's the only reason I remembered it.
What was so in the crossword the security guard was doing? What?
Oh, no.
Crossword word search. What word was he underlining?
Crown jewels.
What? We just get absolutely hustled by
That's
the way.
wild.
Yeah.
Why did I remember that?
He came up here thinking, nah,
Right.
hustler.
I've got one more. Who was Kate hoping to meet?
George Clooney.
Were you in the film?
Can we get a round of applause for Lucky?
Well done, Lucky.
Go on. What'd you get?
Got Winchester starring Helen Mirren.
I went and seen that.
I mean, classic.
Yeah, it's great, honestly. Enjoy it. Thank you very much. Cheers. Okay, going to have to wrap this up. Steg, what would you rate the film out of 5 what? 5 trains?
5 trains.
5 trains?
3. Yeah.
Okay. I would give it. I think I'd give it 3.5 shits. So I would. I think it's.
Shits,
You know, like it's not doing anything wrong. There's a few plot issues in there, but I actually think it's just a solid, self-contained little horror film, and we all love horror, so that's why we're here. And I think it's. Well, some of us love horror. Some of us are just here to show support, and I appreciate that too. But yeah, I go 3.5. Give us a cheer if you think it's 1 out of 5. 2. Oh, where did that come from? Oh,
fuck's sake, Lucky.
3 shits out of 5. Okay. MD going to push for a 4. Oh, nice. A few 4s. MD giving it a 5 out of 5. Fair. That's not bad. That's not bad. Yes. Any
good.
Creative recommendations?
Do you know what I was going to ask you there? Because I always forget, and I thought if I asked you, you'd be like, "How the hell did he remember that?" Shit.
But have you remembered the actual creative recommendation part?
Do you know what? I mentioned it on last week's podcast. I'm going to mention it again because I've got more into it. I Know What You Did Last Summer TV show on Prime is actually pretty good.
Nice.
I'm 4 or 5 episodes in, and I'm pleasantly surprised. I saw the Rico, the new one.
I thought it was all right. It's okay.
Aye, but this I'm actually pretty. No, I wouldn't say I'm glued to it, but it's pretty good. 10 episodes, halfway through it. So far, so good.
Great, yeah. So just those who don't know, we are about to release the original I Know What You Did Last Summer podcast episode on our thoughts on that. And we might be doing I Still Know What You Did Last Summer as well as like a little bonus one there. But I'm going to go with our supporters of the evening, Lena Frankenstein, Trash Cinema, and Final Girls, who have all helped share and promote the Horror Cut. So they're my creative recommendations because I think we wouldn't have the bums on seats without that to start off as well.
Yeah.
So a round of applause to our audience and our
thank
supporters.
you very much, guys.
And I think that concludes our service. Anything else you want to say?
I'm still Steg.
I'm still Gary, and you can follow the podcast on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram at The Horror Cut Show, or there's a Facebook group called The Horror Cut Show as well, where you can leave your comments on the films that we're reviewing. I think our next Secret Cinema is going to be Sunday the 31st of August. We're doing 2 this month because we couldn't do 1 in July. Please come back if you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But that's us. A big thank you to the Old Hairdressers and Tech up the back as well. Thank you very much. See you at the end of the month, I guess. Thank you. Cheers.
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
We're friends to the end, remember?
This is the end, friend.